Graduated from Easton High School, went to University of Maryland, College Park, but then I went out to California after college. So, you know, that's where, from a career standpoint, my work in commercial art and advertising was in California. But I had always been involved in art. I mean, I had started art classes as a child at the Academy, which was very different then in the 60s than it is now, but I took art classes there every day of my life, from 5th grade until I graduated from high school, and it was my home away from home. When I came back here in '96, my parents still lived in Easton, and their health was kind of poor, and it was one of those things where, is this the time? Do I want to get the emergency call, or would I like to be proactive? And my child was young, and I wanted him to have more time with his grandparents, and so we made the move back. I never regretted it, ever. So I feel like there's a lot of creativity that is not yet in form sometimes. You know, it's evolving. It's still growing, it's still emerging, and that's what I think is a very exciting energy, and maybe that's sort of the feeling with LA, because everything there is creative. There's a huge creative spirit that you feel, and I feel that here, and that's part of our role, I think, is to support creative activity wherever it's happening, and to help identify it, and to help provide resources. Yeah, I mean, we were on a roll because we were kicking off our 50th. That was just huge. Yeah, that was huge derailment. We had a big gala planned for the spring, and much of that was already in place when this happened. And you know, we kind of kicked it off. We had a little exhibit in February on I Love DCA, and we had people come in and bring their memories. We had historic photos, and that was wonderful. But the big gala, of course, was sidelined, and we had planned a public gathering in June during our annual meeting, where we would give out awards. We're recognizing, you know, past board members and stuff. And we had just, as I mentioned, become the new home for Groove Theater Company. We had a new performance planned. We had a new concert series. We had done a partnership with Groove City Studios for a series of concerts. So we were going to have a performance hall. So lots of growth, and then it was boom. But you still have to be professional, so even though our personal lives are over here, we don't know what we're doing, we still had to say, what are we going to do here? Because if you're saying that art is vital, then it has to be at a time of crisis too. You know, we couldn't just say, well, we're just not going to do anything during this time. So we started thinking about, you know, what kind of virtual programming could we do? Could we get musicians in the community to do some little concerts? I mean, people played the piano at home, you know, whatever they could do, and share them with us. And so we could share them with the community to kind of stay connected. It got us to start a YouTube channel, which was great. We put those things on our YouTube channel. Some artists did demos, which were great. That was good. And then summer came, and I think things loosened a little bit. People got outside. The sort of lockdown was over, and they had some outdoor opportunities. And it was at that time, maybe June, that our gallery was able to reopen. That was huge, because until then we were not open at all. I mean, so when I talk about things that we did that were incredibly positive, that comes from a place of trying to spin straw into gold a little bit, which we did, but definitely we lost the opportunities for, I mean, our gala was a fundraising event. All of our fundraising events, all those concerts and things that I mentioned went down the drain. And you're looking at, are we going to be able to sustain ourselves? But we are also the Dorchester County Arts Council. So we receive funding through the state. That's our job to push that out into the community. So we still had that responsibility. And I think that's part of why when I tell you the things that we tried to keep doing was from that place of needing to still be that role and to use some of that funding. But, you know, there were some staff layoffs. You know, we all were furloughed at one point. And everyone suffers. You know, when the gift shop is closed, all these artists don't sell their work. When the galleries close, those artists don't sell their work. When we can't have classes, still, I have instructors that are you know, struggling from the result of that. I was able to get a grant and actually pay some of our instructors for the spring classes that were canceled. You know, I don't know how you ever get this back, even though there were some grant opportunities and emergency funding. Yeah, we're nowhere close. And I know that there are certainly others, terrible circumstances. And I don't know how much that's going to improve anytime soon. I mean, it's nice to hear about a vaccine, but the reality is it's terrible right now. Well, I think it would be a lost opportunity if we didn't look at some of the positives that came out of the year and just, wrote it off. Because some of the things that happened, the virtual programming I mentioned was incredible for us. We have connections now with instructors from all over. I started looking around at other art centers when it became apparent that we had to have virtual classes, and I thought, well, they can be anywhere. So we ended up with some instructors from North Carolina, a gal from Chicago. This winter we have one in California, yes, and she's teaching even with the time change. I just love that so much. This cartooning for teens. We would not have had that. I mean, it's fantastic. That starts this winter, and we now have a new partnership with an art center in Miami for painting classes that are being taught in both Spanish and English. That's brilliant. So to me, we are definitely keeping those things, and those teachers have said they want to continue with us as long as we're interested. So that's going to be in the toolbox. That will always be there. Of course, we want to grow in-person classes more, but I think we're being a little bit more strategic about that now. This has sort of forced us to be strategic. We want to identify truly what does the community want from us now at this point, because everyone's changed. We've all changed. Do people want entertainment more than they wanted before? Do we need that relief of we just want to come, we want to see a performance, we want to see a concert, we need to have some fun, we need to feel uplifted. That will have an impact because we're here to meet that need. And so we're going on a fact-finding mission. That's actually becoming our goal. We're working on a 3-year plan right now. And that's what some of that's going to be. Who is our audience? Yeah. So that's I think some of this crisis is forcing us to be a little more strategic and thoughtful. We don't take anything for granted. We want to make sure that we're growing and evolving and changing in a way that stays relevant and responsive.